Welcome to the introduction of my video series where I explore and define the human condition. Throughout this series, I will synthesize the insights of great thinkers, writers, philosophers, and psychologists to uncover a common pattern that shapes our existence, a pattern I call the human condition. In this video, we will be exploring in general this overarching pattern. In later videos, we will work through filling in the details. What we will see as we compare the ideas and thoughts from various thinkers is that this pattern emerges over and over again. This pattern may look familiar to some viewers already. Let's begin. Since the beginning of recorded history, man has searched for meaning and purpose in life. Manifestations of this search are found in myth and in world religions, in philosophy and in literature, in visual art and in music, and even in contemporary films. The journey begins with a creative act through which individuals are placed in a condition of innocence and peace. We will call this paradise. However, as a result of personal choices and external influences, these individuals fall and are thrust from the state of innocence into a condition of conflict, struggle, strife, and uncertainty. We will call this downward movement the fall. This new condition, characterized by limitation, uncertainty, and struggle, we will label as the what is, as in what is around us right now, the situation that we're currently in. Most people are content to live out their lives in this condition, but the hero longs for something greater. In the midst of struggles and sorrows, the hero learns how to rise above the fallen state, the what is, transcending even the previous condition of innocence to achieve an enlightened state of joy and ultimate meaning. We call this upward movement the impossible ascent, and we will call this state of ultimate meaning the what should be. These are our ideals and perfections. These two poles and the tension between them represent the essence of the human condition. They go under many names, such as the temporal and the eternal, immediacy and reflection, the finite and the infinite, being and becoming, the actual and the potential, flesh and spirit, the profane and the sacred, or earth and heaven. Professor of Ancient History Hugh Nibley put it this way:
The problem never ceases to face us all the time. The pressure is on all the time. The hopeless disproportion, the hopeless imbalance between our capacity and our performance. See, I know I could do a lot better than this. I know I wouldn't bumble and stumble and mix my words up and so forth and stray off in all directions. I could do better than that, why don't I, and so forth. But what we are and what we could be are so different.
The general idea is that an impossibly wide gap exists between how things are right now, with ourselves and in society, and the way that they should be. Zooming out, we see the complete journey, the underlying pattern behind all humanity, a paradise lost, and the subsequent struggle to regain paradise. We see a fall and a struggle for redemption. The fall is somewhat easy to see for those who have the courage and curiosity to open their eyes to it. This is a fallen and tragic and unfair world, and the more observant and reflective we are, the more we see all the problems and suffering and corruption here with society and within ourselves. The second part of the journey is more unclear. What do we aim at, and how do we get there? How do we overcome our personal and societal flaws? Have we gotten any closer in the last 3,000 years? We often speak of Western progress and the achievements of modern civilization as if we have moved closer towards the ideal, towards the what should be. But have we really? Or are we the same miserable creatures that we were 3,000 years ago? What then is the path of ascension? A big obstruction to reaching the what should be is what we previously talked about in the first introduction video, a concept that I call the bubble. The bubble is essentially blindness to the true condition that we are in. The bubble is to be so focused on everyday pursuits and mundane concerns that we totally miss the predicament that every human on earth faces. The bubble is to be intoxicated with life and to subconsciously, yet most often intentionally, shield ourselves from the tragedy and uncertainty of our existence. The bubble is to remain in a selfish and closed-off type of existence, to be unintentional with everything that we think and do. When we are in this bubble, we do not see the tension and the gap between where we are and where we should be, between earth and heaven, between what is and what should be. We ignore our vision. When we live inside the bubble, we construct a false paradise, shielding ourselves from the reality of our fallen state and turning a blind eye to our true condition. The bubble functions as an illusion, a fabricated heaven, where we blur the distinction between what is and what should be. We tell ourselves that all is well. In the bubble, rather than striving upward, we pull the ideal down to meet us, creating a golden calf right where we stand. It's comfort through compromise. Conversely, we could also stack up brick upon brick, building a Tower of Babel upon which to stand, convincing ourselves that we have drawn closer to heaven. Yet the tower is an illusion. By worshiping golden calves or building a Tower of Babel, we deceive ourselves into believing there is no gap, no tension between the what is and the what should be. Inside the bubble is comfortable. We are shielded from the truth about the what is. Outside can be suffocating as we sense our own inadequacy and sense everything that's wrong and uncertain in the world and in ourselves. It can be difficult to get outside of the bubble and to see the world for what it really is. Life is full of distractions, some deliberate and others natural. The world is structured to keep us from looking too long at the abyss. Societal norms, traditions, entertainment, media, consumerism, work, and relationships insulate us and reinforce the bubble. Even our own psychological defenses act as buffers against the existential realities of life. Now, that's not to say that all of these things are inherently bad in any way, but they can blind us to our true condition and stagnate our spiritual and psychological development. When we look beyond the bubble, through diligent self-reflection and honest observation, the pattern emerges. We are not as well off and certain as we suppose, and we are far from where things ought to be. A similar pattern has been identified by other scholars who have presented it in slightly different ways. For example, Joseph Campbell, a scholar of comparative mythology and religion, in his seminal book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, gave this pattern the title, The Monomyth, or The Hero's Journey. In Campbell's version, we see the same three stages: a separation and falling away from what is familiar and comfortable, a period of struggle and strife where the hero must prove himself and overcome great trials, and face perhaps a literal or symbolic death, and finally, eventual return to a state of paradise with new wisdom, power, or enlightenment, but never as the same person who left. The return is not a mere restoration of what was lost, but a transformation where the hero brings back a boon to share with the others. Of course, this is the exact journey that we see in many of our favorite movies, such as The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Lion King, Narnia, The Matrix, Batman Begins, Captain America, or even Spirit. Similarly, German anthropologist Arnold Van Gennep, in his broad and sweeping study of traditional rites of passage and folklore, identified a similar pattern: a separation, a transformation, and a return to a higher state of being. Mircea Eliade, Romanian historian of religion, in his monumental book The Sacred and the Profane, marked out again a similar pattern, where an individual living in the profane world attempts to step out of ordinary time and space to encounter the sacred. After the sacred encounter, the individual returns to the profane world, but never the same. While these three scholars marked out this pattern apparent among religion and myth, we will also see the same pattern being identified in philosophy, literature, and drama. Join us for the next part of this video series, where we dive into the details and explore and identify exactly what this problem is that we all face.